What's up, guys? James from Bolt Bros here. Let's talk a little bit about JC Jackson. Let's get into it, boys. Bolt Bros. Let's go. Man, my voice is still harsh from that game on Monday night, by the way. So hopefully it's getting better. Hopefully my voice doesn't start cracking here or anything like that. But You know, top of mind for everybody from that game, even for myself. I was expecting a big game out of JC Jackson, and we got a little bit of a dud game. I mean, a little bit of a dud game might be a little bit of an overstatement, but at the same side, we didn't really have that good of a showing since he got. Well, I should actually say it's more of an understatement because he did get benched in the second half. So, um, interesting thing about this and how it's developing. I mean, I want to start this video by talking about how JC Jackson was in training camp. Now, once again, that is just practice. I get it. But he was playing phenomenal during preseason. He was very on top of it. We looked at him as, man, this guy is going to be our corner. He is going to be our lockdown guy. He took the job basically from Michael Davis, which obviously a guy that you're paying $82.5 million, he has the right to the job, correct? But it's not working out so far for 4 games into the season. I really was hoping that this was going to be the game for JC Jackson to really break out and have a phenomenal, phenomenal game. I think the thing is, though, there is a level of confidence issue here. Daniel Popper was on his live yesterday talking about that. I think there's a confidence issue. I think he just needs to get his swag back, which he talked a little bit about with JC Jackson, that he's just looking to get his swag back somewhere or another. So I think it's, once again, just like how this article is, and the head of this article says that Brandon Staley, we're just going to stay with JC Jackson despite benching. We just need to stay patient. And I think it's more of just a issue of trying to find a way to be able to get him back into the right groove with this defense. So Kevin Petra, Around the NFL writer, wrote on this, and he's kind of talking about how Brandon Staley and why Brandon Staley basically benched him. I mean, bottom line was poor play. I mean, as we all saw, all these blown coverages, not being in the right place, kind of just letting big plays happen. And that's one thing that the Chargers really have had an issue this year is big plays and letting these explosive base plays happen. I mean, really, I think it was KJ Hamler that ended up burning him and basically, not a good showing at all. We need to be able to find a way to be able to get JC Jackson's mind back into where he needs to be. I mean, cover 3 is kind of an idea of where we do. JC Jackson basically covers a third of the field, and that third of the field don't let big plays happen. And obviously he's been letting big plays happen. So we need to find a way to be able to get him back into the right groove of things. I don't know if it's a practice issue. I don't know if it's basically a confidence issue with his ankle. Maybe he doesn't feel very good about it. Going back to that whole surgery, there was a little bit of a small little piece of his ankle pulled out. And does that make his ankle feel a lot more loose than it needs to be? Or is there some sort of issue where he's not 100% still from that surgery? So we will see how it kind of pans out. I think there is a thing that we need to just, once again, stay patient with this. We need to allow his ankle to get a little bit more used to what it's going on there. I think Mr. INT hopefully should be showing up. Now, once again, we only have 1 game before the bye, which is this week against the Seahawks. It'll be interesting to see kind of where we're going to go with Michael Davis, because obviously in the second half of that game, our defense was lights out. I mean, we changed as a defense with Michael Davis out there. Michael Davis was making plays. I think we gave up you can't even say give up. Russell Wilson, I think, had -9 passing yards that game, or in the second half, excuse me. So big difference there with the defense. So the defense looked like it was rocking and rolling all around. So basically what I wanted to point out in this article is that, Staley talked about, hey, last night wasn't up to our standards and his standards. We felt like we had to go in a different direction. We're going to stay with him, keep coaching him, and see if we can get comfortable. It's fair to say that Jackson struggles with mental errors, including 2 blown coverages Monday night that led to the benching, and that was very quick scores at the beginning of the game. So there's a little bit of issue there where they're having a problem of just getting past that idea that I'm in a new defense, or maybe it's just once again, the ankle issue too. It's when you do get injured, sometimes you think, holy smokes, man, I don't want to get injured again. But that's the nature of this business. You are going to get injured. You are going to have a problem somewhere or another. You're going to have little tweaks in your ankles, your calf, your hamstrings, or your back, or whatever it might be. The NFL is a physical sport. There is a guarantee you're going to get injured. You just need to know how to bounce back from that. So I think that he just fits the scheme fine, just like what Coach Staley talked about. It's more just a mental hurdle right now. He came here to just be a press corner. And that's what he's been doing for the most time for us, pressing. And now there's some times where you can't press, and where the team that gets into a bunch of cut splits, they really affect your leverage on the formation. So it's really just it's nothing with what he's been doing. It's just he is mentally kind of having some lapses throughout the game. So I think for this, it's just trying to find a way to make him become the consistent player and the player that we know that he is. Once again, going back to the whole training camp, he was locked down. We were excited about it. We were thinking, hey guys, we got that guy. We paid him $82.5 million. We got JC Jackson, the guy who has led the NFL in interceptions. This is going to be great. We got our guy. And for some reason, it's not working. And so I'm hoping with this one game against the Seahawks that he could show out really well, or after the bye week, we could have a really, really good turnaround for JC Jackson, because then that could be kind of his get right week, get things moving in the right direction. Maybe just that bye week will actually be very much appropriately timed for JC Jackson, that he could really get right back mentally. So the one thing that I've been saying too, even after this game, I was like, there was some talks about some guys not buying into the system. And there was some talks that they didn't name players or whatnot, but there's some guys that have not bought in the system and they're not believing in their coach. So is JC Jackson one of those guys? Is he the guy that is not buying in the system? Who knows? Who knows? And that time will only tell on this. That's something that I'm going to keep an eye on, because once again, it would be interesting to see if things do develop a little bit further with JC Jackson and the status with our team. Once again, if there's a guy that's in a team that's being a little bit of a, not buying into the system any which way, maybe just doesn't feel very comfortable within the system, or he doesn't feel comfortable with being around this team, or maybe he just doesn't like living in LA, which is kind of crazy to think about. But, we've seen it in the past with players that come from the Patriots, and the system that they're in just seems to fit well and make this player extremely good. Now, we've seen it before where players end up getting signed somewhere else and they just don't work out as well. We hope that's not going to be the case with JC Jackson. I think JC Jackson's a phenomenal player. It's, once again, I do really feel that Brandon Staley's talking a lot about his confidence issues. And once again, being injured, you got to find a way to get your confidence back, get your swagger back, get your steps in the right direction, and really get your head locked into the game. So I think JC Jackson will hopefully get there. I'm still very much on the bandwagon with JC Jackson. Just give it time. Now, going back to what I was talking about with the whole thing about JC Jackson coming from the Patriots, and we've had a lot of history of Patriots players getting signed somewhere else for big contracts and they just don't pan out. The way this article ends is kind of really where my mind's at too. The NFL is once again, NFL stands for not for long. And so players could be at places for not for long. They could be, I think the average NFL player is only about 2 years. They could be quickly pushed out if they want to be out. And so I'm not saying that JC Jackson could be that guy, but it's something to think about. I think the bye week will really be a good get right break for JC Jackson, and hopefully he'll be able to get his swagger back. So the way this article ends, it talks about this line right here. given his contract, it's not surprising that Jackson will get multiple opportunities to play. Obviously, pay a guy $82.5 million. You expect him to play. Through his early season struggles, if they persist past Thanksgiving, however, then bigger questions will loom in LA. Now, that's where my mind's been out on this thing. Will he have the opportunity after a certain point? Will he end up finding a way off of this squad? Will he even be a starter? Will Michael Davis just take over that position? Will he get much time at all on the field? Who knows? But this is something that we really have to look at. I've been very patient with him. I feel JC Jackson is obviously a phenomenal talent, and it's a phenomenal signing for us. And so I just feel we have to be patient. We have to see where he goes. I do think that with the Seattle game coming this weekend, I think this is something that could be a big get right kind of game for him. If it doesn't work out well that game, we still have going into the bye week to be able to go against the Falcons the following week. So I think it's just going to be patience. The system takes time, and it's not easy to be able to just jump from one team system to another. And we'll see where it goes with JC Jackson. But for me, as a fan and a fan of JC Jackson, just stay patient, because, man, it would be great if we have that third of the field completely locked down and not be a problem. I mean, just let's see JC Jackson get that first pick. That's his confidence builder. I guarantee that's going to happen. So once we get that first pick, I think that's where JC Jackson figures it out once again. So once again, guys, James from Bolt Bros, like, comment, share, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Love talking to you guys. Bolt up. Let's go.